21-year-old Roger Plett is a businessman of Spanish Lookout who has turned to the media after he was forcibly taken over to Guatemala and his farm equipment hijacked by over a dozen Guatemalan nationals. His meeting with the press comes after the Belize Police Department is not giving much credence to their statements made on Friday, May 13th. According to Plett, the incident unfolded on Thursday whilst he was working on his farmlands in the Green Hills area close to Belize's western border with Guatemala.
I was on my dad's ranch there with the tractor there. I was on backup to outfire if needed, and so I was close to the border when I was we had the fire line there, and if the fire was supposed to cross the fire line, I was supposed to out the fire with the tractor and with the water. When I was in the tractor, when suddenly there was 10 military persons and about 5 people in civilian clothing. They came running out of the forest, and the military, they surrounded the tractor, and the one person in civilian clothing, he started beating his machete against the side of the tractor door, yelling in Spanish, telling me to get out of the tractor. Me, for fear of my life, I didn't try to run with the tractor. I climbed out of the tractor. When I climbed out of the tractor, the military men, the men in camouflage clothing, they came and surrounded me. The guy in charge, he then pushed me towards the forest, telling me to walk. And so I started walking towards the forest, towards the Guatemalan side. When we reached a fire line that they had chopped in the forest, we walked southward. When we reached to a patch of heavy smoke, one of the military guys, he shoved me on my back and said, "Run." I didn't comply right away because I did not understand why I was supposed to run. He shoved me again in the back and I said, "Run." So I started running. When we came out of the smoke, I saw there was another 15 to 20 military persons, and the next, I'd say roughly 20 people in civilian clothing. There was around 5 of them with like a sand-colored overcoat, and they had a logo on the side. Since everything was written in Spanish, I couldn't quite make out what it said. I know it said something about forestry and preserve that it said on there. I recognized the logo on one of the vehicles they had there. So when I came through the smoke, one of the guy in charge, he's a lighter skinned man, he grabbed me on my left arm, and I knew this was going to be trouble for me, so I pulled out my phone and I called Manuel Ayala, my coworker.
As Plett mentioned, Manuel Ayala is his co-worker, and he was the initial person that he had contacted before his phone was taken away. Ayala also was present at today's press conference.
I was called by my boss to go southward from my position where I was working to help out fire. So I drew up the grader there, and then we started working, trying to get the fire out. So at that time, while we were working, we met some civilian people there, which were they claimed to be from CONAP and other organization that protect the jungle. And they were with us in a peaceful way, working, everyone were working, I would say, hand in hand. And so what happened is that while time passed, it was already like in the afternoon when I left the grader upwards, not close to the borderline, further up. I left the grader there and went back to see, because I'm the person in charge of the area there, of the job. And to anything, I noticed that work's going good. But anyway, I went by where the bulldozer was, I left the grader upwards. I went by where the bulldozer was, and I stand there watching the bulldozer working, when suddenly I receive a call from Roger Plett, which says, "Manuel, where are you?" I said, "I'm by the bulldozer." He said, "How far?" I said again, "By the bulldozer." And then on the background of the phone call, I hear somebody says, "Alguien tiene que hacerse responsable de esto," which means somebody got to make themselves responsible for this thing. So I knew something was wrong at that moment, and what I did is I called my boss, which is Roger Plett's dad, and tell him, "George," because like I said before, I had ready, the grader was way up. I said, "George, take the loader and the grader and move out because something is wrong here." Because I knew the way Roger was expressing himself and what I heard in the background. So anyway, they drove out. When I walked closer to the bulldozer, which is about 25 feet away, I saw 5 soldiers rushing in towards the bulldozer.
It is not clear why the men would take Plett over to the Guatemala side, but it seems as though the issue of bushfires and land clearings are the points of contention. Plett was eventually released and his equipment ended up back on the Belize side, but not before sustaining damages. Tomorrow we will bring you more of Plett's dilemma with the Guatemalan.